H.
Yeah, they didn't have any air conditioning in the cars.
No.
Not until you get about 50 miles an hour with the windows down.
Yeah, tell them about going to New Orleans and getting down there broke.
Oh yeah. We no sooner got to Camp Leroy Johnson. He was supposed to go to school. And
Where was that?
In Virginia.
That wasn't
Newport.
Leroy Johnson.
Oh, that was New Orleans.
New
We got down
Orleans.
to Newport
That
News
was
in
Camp,
Virginia.
what was that?
Eustis.
We visited not too many
Camp
years.
Eustis.
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 Yeah, Fort Eustis.
Yeah. We no sooner got there, we didn't have any money. We just got there and we set up an apartment. I had just gotten an interview for a job and they came and told him he was going to New Orleans. We didn't have any money at all. So he called Marlene. Marlene sent us enough money to buy a train ticket to get to New Orleans. We took a train all the way from...
The government wasn't paying for any of her.
Why not?
Because he was a
The way
private...
it was. You had to be a
Private
first rate
student,
grader
yeah.
before you started getting those benefits.
So Marlene gave us enough money for a train
Sorry,
ticket. So we took a train to New Orleans with a trunk. You got the trunk, the black trunk. We had all our worldly possessions in that black trunk. Got to New Orleans and had just enough to get an apartment. We rented an apartment by the week.
And she got a job, but she had to have a white dress and white shoes. No
Yeah.
money to buy it. Didn't have that stuff, you couldn't get the job. So she went
To
to
the
this big department store in New Orleans. What was the name of it?
Holmes.
Huh?
Holmes. Holmes.
It's one of the biggest places there. And she somehow got to talk to the manager. And he put it on credit.
For a dress and
Here
pair of
we are,
white
strangers
shoes
in
for a
town.
job.
No money.
So
He must have been a nice guy.
I waited on a table in the French Quarter at a Chinese restaurant. And we survived. And we survived very well.
Then you got a better job in an office.
Yeah.
And we were starting to like New Orleans. We got a nicer apartment. And it all ended.
Then he went to Newfoundland.
I might have wound up staying down there. So I had planned to get the job and to get out of the Army with the Corps of Engineers. They had a lot of layup fleet of tugs and everything, and the civilians maintaining them. I thought I'd do that, or else work on tugs in the area.
We had a lot of tugs.
I was committed to going back to doing what I knew, in engine room and tugs or something like that.
And so you go to...
But going to Newfoundland kind of changed our lives around. We got out, we come back to Rochester.
And so you go to Rochester and you're living with... You didn't go back, move in with Ray again, did you?
For a while.
For a while? And then how long was he in Newfoundland?
14 months.
Yeah, about 14 months. When he came out, I had my own apartment already.
Uh-huh.
We were down in
At Jefferson Avenue?
Jefferson Avenue and Main Street.
Jefferson Avenue and Main Street. That's right downtown.
It's right downtown, and it's not a very nice
West
neighborhood
Main,
now.
too.
West Main.
Was it not? Was it good now?
No, now
I mean,
it's-
was it good then?
Oh yeah, yeah. We could walk all over the city. We used to walk from Arnett Boulevard all the way down to Eastman Theater. Think nothing of it.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't do it now.
Nope.
And
Late at night, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's a different day than people were a lot nicer, I guess.
so
So he came back. We got
where were you working at that time?
Rochester Truck Rental.
Rochester Truck Rental. Okay.
Rochester Carting Company.
So he comes back and then he's looking for you actually got discharged out of Newfoundland?
Well, I come back to Fort Dix is where I was discharged,
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey.
We got a bigger apartment. He got a job with RG&E, and he no sooner got the job with RG&E and Kodak called him. So he went to work for Kodak, and finally we decided
Stayed there 30 years.
we got an apartment on Norton Street. I got pregnant with number 1, 1957.
Who was that? I forget.
And we were living on Norton Street, and no sooner that we got Butch was born, our first house was down in Somerville. We borrowed the money from my dad for
I
down
wrote
payment.
about $1,200 for him, I think.
Yeah,
Where was that?
I paid him
Somerville
back
on
within a
Wabash
year.
Avenue. We paid him back within a year. And
Kodak was one of the better employers, I think. And you
Yeah.
were still working at Wabash, well, you had quit, you know.
I quit to have the baby, and then after the baby got old enough to go to a sitter, I went back to work. But while I was at home, I was doing home job for the company. I used to do their inventories at home and run their cost accounting for the fleet.
So you had to go pick up the paperwork and then you had to drop it off, and that was kind of a good deal.
Yeah.
Who was the babysitter?
You went to Mrs. Ricky.
Mrs. Ricky.
Do you remember Mrs. Ricky?
No, I remember the name. I don't
Yeah.
really remember Mrs. Ricky.
I would drop you off
You
in the
liked her.
morning, and
Wasn't there Martha Stewart in that picture? She was the doctor, the pediatrician. No,
Martha was your godmother.
Martha
Mother Story was your godmother.
Story, Martha Story.
She was your,
She never went to jail, did she?
no, no.
Okay. This is
She
fine.
was your
Clear
godmother.
that up.
She was your godmother with Jimmy Dunnigan. He was your
Right.
godfather.
Uh-huh.
And we lived in. I worked for them until I got pregnant with Chris. And once I got pregnant with Chris, I had appendicitis, and they told me I couldn't go to work anymore because I was getting too fat, and they didn't want to put any stress on the operation because it was quite a few stitches. So I stayed home until Chris was born, and then I went and did some more homework with truck rental. It used to be nice working with truck rental because I had all sorts of vehicles to drive. Bought cars from them. And then he started buying cars at auctions. And after Chris was born, we needed a bigger place, so we moved to Culver Road.
How much you buy that house for?
17,900, I think it was, or 17,500.
17.5 or something. Around that.
Yeah.
And that was in
And
Arundecoit?
that was 1963. No, 61. 63.
63, I think.
63 because we moved when my mother died.
Yeah, when I was born in
Yeah.
61.
You were born and you were 2 when
We
my
was
mother
at
died.
on Wabash about 5 years, I guess. wasn't it?
Yeah. And then we went to Culver Road in 63 and Laura came along in 66.
I have a memory of in the living room. Of course, the fireplace was clean, and it was carpeting, but no furniture in the room, and just rolling around and doing some, you know.
Yeah, that was probably when we had just bought it. Yeah. First thing we did when after we bought it, Jerry came to visit. And we didn't have anything in the fireplace. Did we have furniture? I don't know. Yeah, we might have just put furniture in there. And Jerry came and says, oh my God, you got a fireplace, you got to put fire in there. Middle of the
July.
summer, July, Jerry builds fire in the fireplace. That was a big thing back then, fireplaces. That was a good house. That was a good family house. Nice place to raise a family. Nice
Big
friends in the
backyard.
area, big backyard.
I always hated being on Culver Road. I didn't like that part.
You could walk to school, nice schools.
Yeah, that was the criteria from her looking for a house, you know, how close we were to schools and whatnot. In fact, I wanted a place up closer to Kodak, but
Yeah,
you
you
would
wanted-
have to cross Ridge Road to get to school, to go to the Kodak school. So that was an out.
I wouldn't live there anyways. I wasn't going to live underneath the Kodak cloud
It was a nice, it was a nice house.
on Merrill Street.
Right across the street from a Kodak parking lot. All I had to do was walk through the parking lot and get to work. At that time, she wanted to move way out in Ontario. I thought all that driving on midnights and
I always wanted to move to
the
the
winter
country.
time. And
I always
so
wanted to
you're
move to the
taking
country.
Elmira or something, or Parma?
Parma. We
Oh,
I lived
yeah,
at a house in
that
That was
Parma.
later.
that was right.
Yeah.
It only took about 2 days to make up my mind to buy that house, and then it was sold. Brand new house.
That was way later though. That was like when I was like 10 or so.
No,
No, that was before
Before I bought a
Culver.
Culver.
Oh, there was
Culver.
another one though.
But
were looking.
we were looking at another one when Laura was about 10, but at that time you didn't want to move either.
we were. I don't remember.
Yeah.
No, you weren't, I did. Laura and I were out looking at houses.
Time telling me about it, probably.
Yeah, I told you, but you were dragging your heels. You still wanted to live under Kodak. He just didn't like to drive.
And they didn't want the commute.
Yeah.
But so there was a compromise where basically you didn't get the country, but you got the suburbia, you know.
And I got a
urban
nice
suburbia.
big house for a good value.
And a big yard with
Yeah.
big gardens and the pool and the private yard for the most part anyways.
We put the pool in.
Yep.
We had the room for the pool.
Big park close by.
Yep. Duran Eastman, yeah, we had a lot of fun in Duran Eastman. Nice park.
And the school was close again. Used to make me lunch.
Yep. We used to come home for lunch.
Yep.
I think you were the only kid that ever walked home for lunch.
Yeah, Steve gets too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. And all right, so by that time, so you're raising a family. You had me, and then you had Laura, or you had me and then Chris, and then you had Laura. And when?
1966.
And you sent her off to school. And any stories of significance, special birthday parties, or
Special dog.
special dog, Rags.
Reading the dog news for her. Yeah, we had
Casper.
Rags
Forgot
and
about Casper.
Had a rabbit.
Yeah.
Thumper.
Yeah, we found
Yeah.
Stiff in the backyard.
Yeah. And he came home when Kennedy was shot, assassinated with a puppy.
This case.
That was Casper. Casper was a good dog, but it was like raising a cow in the backyard. So.
Rambunctious dog.
And I noticed Charlie at her birthday.
Used to
party.
chase the kids all around.
Yeah, Laura used to go out and walk a dog in the neighborhood, and it was a pug, and so she ended up with a pug.
You got Casper from Jimmy Dunnigan,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah.
He had a litter.
And some ducks.
And ducks came from,
The ones we ate.
no, didn't we get ducks from Frank Ellis?
I thought you got ducks from
He gave me
Jimmy.
a cat. He told me it was a rabbit. in the
Maybe you
box.
gave the ducks to Jimmy Dunnigan so they can run out in his
I
place
don't
because he was out.
Yeah, that's right too. We had ducks and gave them to Jimmy. I don't know where we got the ducks from. You remember things more than I do. And we stayed on Culver Road until somebody had to take an early retirement and head to Florida. And I did not want to go to Florida. I just was too young to go down there and live with all those old people.
Nobody else wants you to go down to Florida too. All the kids are going, holy cow,
I
there
didn't
goes
want to
our...
go.
Yeah, there goes laundry.
What were your kids saying?
Well, I was saying, now I got to go to two different parts of the country, you know, to visit. I like that one-stop shopping where I go visit you, then I can, you know, and
See everybody.
the rest of the family, you know, basically see everybody. Now I had to split it up into two places, you know.
After about 5 years in Florida, though, it was all right.
Well, yeah,
And then when I got to Florida, I didn't want to come home when I come home.
you had a nice place there in River Run, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
How long did you live down there?
21 years.
And how many
9.
years at River Run?
9,
12.
12?
12 at River Run.
was it? I thought it was 9.
I think you lived there at River Run longer
87
than...
to 11 years. Well, almost 11 some odd years. We moved in there 87.
Yeah, I know that. March, St. Patty's
And we
Day,
went
March
to,
17th,
we went
87.
to Palm Lake Club in 98. 11 years.
We were at Palm Lake Club for quite a while, you know, quite
Yeah.
a while too.
What did you do when the kids were growing up?
We traveled. We went sailing. Took the kids to the Virgin Islands and had a hell of a nice vacation.
Yeah.
Took the kids to Maine where somebody
Every year we
had to jump in the cold water and wouldn't believe that it was cold until she jumped in and she came out as faster than she went in.
I don't know. I remember
That's where you
somebody
first
going
learned
into
to water ski at
water
Maine.
skiing. and
Oh,
coming
yeah.
down as fast as
Oh,
You had a good
yeah.
incentive to stay on top of the skis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That was his first time water.
yeah, it was.
I won
Yeah.
a few times, first and last. I'm
And
thinking
then we
pretty close.
sailed up in Canandaigua Lake
We had a cottage in Canandaigua Lake one summer.
with a sailboat that tipped over.
I remember a houseboat too.
And we had a houseboat down in the Everglades.
2 years, two
Down in
different
Fort
years we
Keys,
went to
remember? Yeah,
Florida Keys.
yeah.
You did a week on Lake Ontario on a sailboat with a fallen
Yeah.
horse.
Yeah,
Contest.
yeah. Laura stayed with their Aunt Marlene, went horseback riding with the 4-H, wasn't it? 4-H camp.
Probably.
Who was that woman she used to stay with when we went to the Bahamas sometime?
Tish Crum.
You remember her?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She had a funky husband.
Mm-hmm.
What was funky about? He's kind of a nerd, wasn't he?
He was a
I
funky
mean,
husband.
geek.
He was a funky husband.
He was weird.
He was weird. Bob.
Huh?
I think his name was Bob.
Bob Crum. He was weird.
There was Bob, little Bobby Crumb and Mark
Yeah.
Crumb.
Mark. Mark was a big husky
Michelle.
kid. Yeah, Michelle was the baby.
Well, do you remember anything specific at Culver Road? Any
Oh,
of
I
that
remember
over the years?
somebody who was always monkeying and messing up the driveway with a junky car that wouldn't run, and out there in the middle of the winter laying in the snow and ice.
Well, I remember somebody passing me tools on.
Yeah, I know.
I bought your motor scooter and you tore it apart.
Oh, yeah.
I said, oh my God, never get that running. And you did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, woke up with a boat in your yard one day.
Oh yeah, Lord, my God, she was so lucky she could have been killed so easy. You were sitting there playing, you and Schofield